Could you become a real-world racing driver? It's a question you might have asked yourself in the past. And in this video, I'm going to show you my journey as someone who had never done a track day before to someone who got to experience the real dangers of motorsport. Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be racing Mazda MX-5s here in this GT Academy Gran Turismo movie style setup against a lot of people from all over the world. This is all courtesy of Race Logic. You can see behind me there a V-Box Motorsport poster. Race Logic have been a partner on my channel for a long time now. They're a mainly UK-based company that make a lot of automotive and motorsport products, data logging products, telemetry for lack of a better word. And I've been giving them a lot of feedback on how they can use that in sim racing. And they've invited me out here to race against rally drivers, historic car drivers, journalists, people who do real car stuff from all over the world, because they want to see whether a sim racer can translate what I've been learning in the sim using telemetry to the real world. So you see the track here. I've driven this track in Assetto Corsa in a Mazda MX-5. I've used the Race Logic V-Box sim to trace my throttle and brake and speed and all this kind of stuff. And now I'm going to be able to compare that against what I can do in the real world. So it's very, very, very exciting. Going to be driving these rear-wheel drive Mazda MX-5s that I've driven quite a bit in the sims, actually. But I really don't know this is my first track day. And there's going to be a few track days, and it's going to be wheel-to-wheel racing. And I don't know if it's going to be physical. I tried to do quite a lot of karting in the days leading up to this, just to kind of get used to that physicality again. I don't know if it's going to be super technical, with the need to sort of balance the revs and really pivot the car on the brakes. I just don't know what to expect. I don't know if it's going to feel very similar to the sim, but the most important thing is I'm going to let you know, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone watching, because you guys and girls have made this possible. Just by supporting my videos and liking and watching, you make this possible. And Race Logic are super excited to see what I'm going to do. This is not controlled content. They don't want to see the content in advance. They said, hey, come along and just do your best and make a video from it. So that's why I'm here, and actually having to pinch myself because it's super, super cool. So we're going to be doing a full day today. I'm going to be going out with an instructor, letting you know kind of what they pick up on my driving straight away. And then we're going to be doing some qualifying, and we're going to be going into head-to-head races. And it's like a country setup here. So I've got my teammate Luke, who's a car YouTuber, like a proper car YouTuber. And we're Team GB, and we're going up against USA and Spain and Portugal and Italy and France and other countries like that. So super, super, super exciting. Look how gorgeous it is out on the track. Let's get going. So I want to show you the car. This is the Mazda MX-5 Challenge car. Now, as you know, I do drive a sports car in real life, the Peugeot RCZ, bit of a beast to tame. But I imagine this is going to be a level up. So firstly, you can see the brakes here. Not massive, massive, massive brakes on the front. We've got grooved tyres on it. They're obviously all sort of stripped out of unnecessary stuff. I don't think this will be road legal anymore. And then we've got here the roll cage, and you can see inside, so it's a right-wheeled right-hand drive car, Japanese import presumably, which is good for me. Got the gear lever there. We've got the 6-point harness, which I have used before, and the roll cage. And I'm going to, in fact, let me pop in and give you a view from the driver's side. Drivetrain at the back, rear wheel drive, which will be interesting, albeit a bit like the Ferrari 488 GT Challenge that I drove fairly recently. And that's going to be my view. That is my view there. So quite low down in the car, which will be interesting. And all stripped out. It's got the gear stick, steering wheel. There's a lot of people here who've done a lot of track days or got their own car to take the track. I don't do that, but I do drive these cars in the sim, so I'm interested to see what the feel will be like just coming out of the pit lane, pivoting it, the feeling on the brakes. Usually my brief experience to go from sim to real world has been that you need to just brake a lot harder in the real world, so we'll see. But here is the car. Let me get you a nice view from the front. I'm trying to get run over again. All the Mazda MX-5s. So the first thing to do was to go out with my instructor I've been paired with, who was a older gentleman from England, loving life in Gran Canaria, I think, and we were two very different people, but I feel like we had some sort of I don't know, like teacher-protege connection. I said, look, I do sim racing. He really wasn't impressed. And yeah, as you'll see when I get in the car for the first time, he was even less impressed. But you can see him here taking me around. He was telling me here, don't brake and turn at the same time. These are principles that you do apply in sim racing, although the more simcade you go, the less important it is. So for Gran Turismo, you might be used to going into the corners with a little bit of lock-on. Somewhere like ACC or iRacing, you're going to pay for that. And even now, just hearing the car rev up, I was like, wow, okay, I can't wait to get going. So after doing a couple of laps with the instructor, it was time for me, for the first time, to jump behind the wheel. Now, in the spirit of transparency and the spirit of this video giving you a really authentic account of my struggles, I'm just going to show you this absolutely raw. You can see all the mistakes I'm making, and I was making some very, very, very fundamental mistakes. I was not used to downshifting so aggressively in manual car. Yes, I drive a manual car pretty much daily in real life, but I'm not used to going into braking zones aggressively, downshifting as quick as possible, and using engine braking. I'm more prone to really sort of riding on the clutch and being smooth like that when I'm driving on the road. Driving on a track is completely different, and that really, I don't want to say stressed me out, because I never really felt stressed out in this experience, but that really made the braking zones too complicated for what I could handle at the beginning. So there was just too much going on for me to do it all in a smooth way. So you're going to see me here come into the braking zone. We're going to go up into third gear. Maybe go up another gear, I'm not sure. Not this time. So you see we're lifting. And have a look at my left leg, the way I'm going to apply the clutch, if you can see. So I'm kind of on the clutch now, and I stay on the clutch for way, way, way too long, and that's a massive problem I had. So if you're looking to do a track day or get involved in real-world racing, I'd really practice in a safe space your manual downshifting. That was 100% the biggest issue for me. You can see here, coming into this corner, where there's actually like no barrier, you just go straight into the sea if you mess up your braking. See, my instructor was like, what the hell are you doing? And that was the relationship we had. But I have to say, generally, I just felt so relaxed, and you're going to see that when I come out of the car. Wow, so I've just done my first session, my first ever track day in the Mazda MX-5, and it was absolutely insane. This is my car. I want to tell you, first of all, the things that are very different about driving this car in real life and in the sim. And the first thing is sort of, I don't know if there's a better way of putting it, like mechanical sympathy. But every time you're downshifting, the car is seizing up and then releasing again. When you're on the brakes, the car is really moving in minute ways. But because you're driving it feels like you're driving obviously faster in real life than you feel in the sim, it has quite a big psychological impact on kind of how you're approaching the braking zone. So for example, in a sim, if you're approaching a braking zone, you might just anticipate the car sort of crabbing a bit to the left or the right as you get on the brakes. But when you're doing that in real life and there's a barrier there, that's quite a different proposition. So I really enjoyed actually trying to push it late on the braking. The most difficult thing for me at the moment is actually doing the gear shifts and going down multiple gears. For example, coming down from fourth gear into third gear, back off the clutch, second gear, getting the engine braking, and then getting around the corner, hitting the apex, on the power again, second gear, up again. So it's very difficult to get the car stopped, but I'm really enjoying it. It's very difficult. I'll be honest, I feel in over my depth here. But that's how it's meant to be as a sim racer coming and doing this driving for real. My instructor was absolutely great. I think a little bit frustrated with me at times, but we're building a bond there that hopefully will improve. And yeah, I can't wait to get out again in this car. It's a very technical circuit, as you may have seen. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts. So I went out again with my instructor, and because I was in such a good sort of mental space, feeling really relaxed, I was able to absorb the information and actually acting it. You can see the gear changes there much more smoother, and the transformation was pretty crazy. But I still needed to see how far off I was off the experienced track day racers. I started from quite a significant way behind, but with the incredible amount of track time, I was able to make some headway into catching up, and that is where the telemetry is going to come in. So the really interesting bit of this process is going to be looking at the telemetry from me driving the car. I know there's some moments where I'm braking too early because I'm taking too long to do the downshifts and get the engine braking. I might also be getting on the power too late, probably. That'll be an easy win. And also looking at my steering input or seeing how aggressive I'm being through some of the smoother corners. So that's going to be very valuable. I want to show you the little bit that's doing all of that magic in the Mazda. which is this little thing here. I think it's basically unannounced as I'm recording this, but it's £590 from RaceLogic. It has a camera and it also logs all the telemetry as well. So you get your front facing view like this, and then you have the overlay of your telemetry, which is awesome. You don't need a GoPro or anything special to do that. So that's what we're going to be using to compare the telemetry. But then the real secret sauce for comparing it with a sim racing is the data that that's logging will be directly comparable with the data that I have from the sim, which is kind of mind-blowing. I mean, that's like full, in some ways, like Formula 1 level testing, isn't it? So can't wait. Right, let's look at it. Now, when I went through the telemetry with the RaceLogic team, I had a pleasant surprise because my fastest lap of a 1 minute 30 was only 3 seconds slower than my teammate who's done a 1 minute 27. And I knew I had so much time to find. I was still trying to get everything together, apply all of the learnings I've been taking on board, and I knew 3 seconds was 100% doable. The telemetry was able to point out some of the unusual lines I was taking, and also where I could brake later, where I could get on the throttle earlier. Super, super, super helpful. It was time to put that into practice and basically see if I could do a 1 minute 27. Right, everyone, now I've done 3 sessions in the Mazda, and I know I'm getting faster, because we're looking at the telemetry and learning some things. I was going too deep into corners and I was just giving up time. We can see on telemetry, so I've started going a bit narrower, hugging the apex, and that saved me a lot of time. The other thing that we saw is that I'm losing a lot on the minimum apex, so now I'm trying to focusing on coming off the brake and getting into gear sooner and then accelerating out. And now the back end's coming out in the Mazda, which is awesome. It's pretty crazy, pretty surreal to be here. There's some very fast drivers here, like really insanely quick drivers, but I'm just going at my own speed and trying to work out my own limits and seeing whether I can start to translate some of that sim pace into the real world. I would say that the further I've gone through the day, I feel like the less relevant the sim stuff is. I think the sim stuff is arguably quite relevant at the beginning just to get your bearings, but fundamentally the cars feel so different to drive in the real world that you start to rely on other senses and other feelings happening that you just don't get in a sim, like the way that you're downshifting and hearing, you're feeling that gear slot in and the engine braking, and then going into another gear, getting more engine braking. I feel like you just don't get that really in a sim. Also, the feeling of the back end coming around is something that you can control to actually go fast, whereas that's really difficult to do in a sim as well. But we're going to go out again quite a few more times. We're going to do qualifying for my race. I'm going to be racing people in this thing, which is going to be mad. So far I've been going out with an instructor sat next to me every single session. So I can't wait, but what a privilege to be here. So a big thank you to you and a big thank you to RaceLogic, if I'm putting it the right thing, because they are seriously well organised. They are very good at what they do. And the system that they've got is just insane for being like bang, bang, bang. That's where you find the time. And I could go around here for a week on my own and I wouldn't learn anything. So insane. Right, let's keep going. Now, just after I recorded that, another instructor came up to me and he'd sort of seen that I was quite keen, and he asked me if I wanted to go out again. I said, yes, absolutely. And he had a slightly different coaching style. And I think the combination of the first coach I had, sort of that tough love, and then this second coach who really, for some reason, unlocked a lot of confidence and pace in me to build on the fundamentals I now had. And I was able to drive just at a level that I already felt was roughly competitive. And this is starting from absolutely nowhere. So when I started out, my first laps were like 1 minute 35s, 36s, and now you can see the time and you'll see where we end up on this lap. But already we are taking sort of good lines. We're going up the gears very smoothly. I'm not overthinking things. Going to go up into 4th gear here, and then we're going to slot down into 3rd and then 2nd, have a little hard on the brakes, 3rd, 2nd, off the clutch, engine braking, turning in, nice wide entry, on the power, using as much of the track on the outside as we can, going down this back straight. This is the final straight for the last corner, up into 3rd gear, then we're going to slot down into 4th gear. There we go, and then it's going to be a hard braking zone, 3rd, 2nd, on the power, nice and early, trying to carry that speed through, controlling anything we need to. And we're going to go over the line and have a look at what lap time I was able to do here. This was a big step up for me, a 1 minute 27 already. So the amount of progress I was able to make, that was facilitated by the incredible coaches, the relaxed atmosphere, the incredibly competent people at RaceLogic, that all came, and I think my mentality as well, just all came together, and now we are roughly competitive. But I wanted to do some final checks on the telemetry to give me the best chance at qualifying tomorrow, because even though I've increased my pace, everyone else will have increased it as well. And I don't want to come last in qualifying here. Although I think I was the odds-on favourite to come last because I had 0 experience. Let's have a look. Right, everyone, it's now the end of the day here at Gran Canaria, and I'm very lucky I'm here with Rob from Race Logic, who gave us those little pointers in the middle of the day. What we've done here is we've exported from the VBox HD Lite the footage and the telemetry from my last session and my first session, and we're going to compare the fastest lap times in both. And I hope, Rob, you can give me some insight or let me know what the telemetry is saying.
Yeah, absolutely. We've gone quite light here. We're just looking at speed and delta. The idea with the delta is it gives us an idea where the biggest gains are or where you've made the biggest improvements. And we can see through the speed trace, it gives us a really good idea about where you're accelerating and where you're braking, things like that. So if we look anywhere between the red line, which was your fastest line, and your blue line, that gap in between there, that's all time gained. And if we go and look all the way along that line, there's one little bit there where the red falls below the blue. Everything else, pretty much the red line is above the blue. And we can see that with that, you know, this first corner in particular, you're braking later, you're carrying more speed before you do. You're slowing the car down more, so you're using more of the brakes. We've got a much steeper decline. You're then carrying that speed into the corner. There's less of a V. That early lap, there's a big V, whereas you're coming off the brakes, taking the speed through the corner, and then benefiting for that. We can see possibly a slightly fluffed gear change there, where it sort of flatlines, whereas the blue line from earlier was a bit, but you're still carrying that speed. So again, and there as well. So there might be time to be gained just from heating it up, but it's so hot that, you know, you're going to be suffering fatigue this later lap. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the heat wasn't just getting to you, it was getting to the cars, it was getting to some of the GoPros. But then again, you're still hitting a much higher top speed at the end of the straight. You're braking at a similar point.
That's interesting.
And then you're bringing the speed down faster than you were. So again, you're using the brakes more. We talked a little bit earlier about overslowing the car, and you're possibly guilty of this, but I think you then realise and you bleed off the brakes. And again, your minimum apex speed there is much, much higher. Yeah. You're carrying it along, another fluffed gear change, I suspect. Carrying that speed all the way along, braking marginally, probably car's length further.
Having more speed at the brake.
And braking harder. Again, we look at that, that's a much steeper decline. This one's much shallower. And again, bleeding off the brakes, carrying that speed through the corner, maintaining the momentum, much higher apex speed, taking that down the straight. And then braking later again, much later this time. I mean, look at that. Yeah, we can go into that. Let's actually have a look at how much later that was. So
now let me know if you want to see the full telemetry analysis, and I'll make sure I upload it for you. Make sure you're subscribed as well, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comment about this video if you want to see more. But now it's time for qualifying. It's really the test if I'm going to be able to put all of this into practice and make it happen. It was the first time I was in the car by myself, trying to get the harnessing and taking responsibility of my driving and my performance in the car. I felt super relaxed, amazing scenery, amazing weather, amazing company, and I'm just going to play it a little bit forward here. So bear in mind, this whole video is about, you know, can you become a real world racing driver? You've seen my journey so far from, you know, not being able to drive at the beginning. Out lap 2, flying laps in that. Yeah, I'm cool. I thought I'd ask my previous coach here what my time would be. If I remember. Did I? What do you think my time, if you had to guess? Like 20. Okay. So it seemed to me that, you know, can we try and go faster than the 1 minute 27 we did when I had the confidence of having my coach in the car or not? And that's what we're going to find out. Let's do it. So now it's just me in the car. I strapped my GoPro to the front and to the side, so you've got an amazing view here. We're going to do 1 out lap of the circuit and then 2 flying laps, and this is our GT Academy moment of whether we, you know, are able to actually do this, or we're just going to be embarrassed. So this is the first corner, tricky entry, and then you can get on the power nice and early, use some of that road on the exit. This bit should all be flat out on our qualifying lap, so just absolutely flat through here. Try and just sort of nibble the curb on the right hand side, the rumble strip, up into 4th gear, and nibble the curb on the inside. Different ways you can attack this hairpin, coming at an angle, try and straighten up. We're going to go down into second gear, another really fun hairpin to get on the power in the Mazda. The back end will come around if you're a little bit early on that. And now it's time for another straight with the kink completely flat. And we're going to go up into fourth and then again down from third, second for this hairpin here, which is a little bit tricky, a bit of a trickier entry, I have to say, and a bit tighter as well. So that'll be fun in the race. And by the way, the race videos are to come on this channel, so make sure you please share the videos, make sure you subscribe. It's only thanks to you we're able to do this. Right, and then coming into the last corner here, so you can see there's no barrier, you just go in the sea if you mess up, which is nice. Down into second, but get on the power super early, because there's just so much grip relative to the corner here. So here we go, here's our first lap. Going to get the live timings up. Remember, we're trying to go faster than 1 minute 27. Although I think a 1 minute 27 would put us right near the end of the pack. So let's have a look. So coming into the first corner, how late are we going to brake? Near the end of this curb on the inside? Yes, pretty happy with that. Then upper gear, releasing everything, and then down into second here. So probably braked more firmer than I had done previously, which meant that I actually approached the apex a lot sooner than I had previously. So I could push that. So all flat through here, fourth gear. Just nibble that on the right hand side, turn it in. We're going to try and brake as late as we can. Here we go. And again, braking a little bit more firmly so we can push that. It meant that we were arriving at our turning point a little bit earlier. And up now into third. And then fourth again. And a really tricky approach here. Very easy to have a massive accident, as I will show you. And we're going to go in second again, braking more firmly, so I need to push that really, and use all of the track. Now time for this penultimate straight, and the very committed last corner where you can be super brave. So let's see, as we're going to go into third, second, trying to get on the power super early. We do get a little bit of a slide there, which is going to cost us all the way down. But let's have a look at the timing. How much is it going to be quicker than what we had previously? Well, there we go. So 125 something. Yes, the car's cool and everything. Let's keep going on the second lap. Wow, that's massive. Braking around the similar point. You know, I can see here now you could really squeeze the throttle if you wanted to get more time. And that's what's so alluring about this for me. So I'm used to time trialing for hours and finding all that. And I just want to do that in real life as well. So up now into fourth, nibbling it on the inside there and then coming across. Let's see, are we going to brake a little bit later? Looks like it may be. That was nicer, I think, but there we are, applying a lot of lock. And again, oh, you hear the revs drop as we unfortunately got a little bit too much lock on, but not fatal to the lap, I'd say, at all. It's how the mouse is like to be driven. Coming in here, are we going to be a bit more committed? Braking after that curb ends. So yes, we could push that by another 5 meters or so. But I'm really concerned here about just, you know, ranking well amongst my peers and not being last. There's still a long time to go, 3 races to go. So we don't need to win it all in qualifying or do whatever. Here comes the last corner now, down second gear. And we'll see what the lap time is going to be as we go over the line. Bearing in mind this is my first track day. And we were doing 1 minute 36 or 8, I can't remember the first day. And then we go over it. It's a 1 minute 25.04. Absolutely unbelievable. Everyone was completely gobsmacked that I'd been able to do that lap time because the feedback on my driving from the first couple of sessions had not been good. And rightly so, if you remember me messing all around with the clutch and the brake and everything. So at this point, and I'm going to... Cheers, this is what I said.
Relaxed. I don't think I did the best lines. I think I was actually braking firmer, but at the same point, I was arriving at the corner too early and making the apex too shallow. So what I need to do is combine the braking firmer with braking later, and a corner like this, you'll see, I should end up over here and then turn in and have a really late apex. You can hear that we got the back end out on one of the laps, which is not the ideal thing to do. So, but we roll with it. We roll with it, everyone.
Right, interesting how I say a lot of the same stuff, which is going to tie in neatly with the footage I'm about to show you. So the question is,
you know, can you become a real racing driver? Was I able to become a real racing driver? I want to show you some incredible footage here that I think, for me, confirms that I am now a real racing driver, because this is, to me, I was astonished when I saw this. Have a look. So these are my 2 qualifying laps, and I just want to let you watch this and have a look at how synchronized I am on my braking markers and the gear shifts. It is uncanny. Pretty crazy. Right, in the next video I'm going to show you my first race. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you've got notifications on, and I will see you then.